All aboard the Carnegie Board Game hype train! Following our unboxing video, today we are reviewing Carnegie Deluxe Edition that was on Kickstarter last year and came out a month ago. If you're looking for high quality components, a game that gives a lot of choices for how you want to play it, and if you like board games with worker placement mechanics and also a nice board context, join us on this ride. Hi, my name is Nick and we are Tabletop Duo. We will start by going through the game components, then we will do a brief overview of the game, and then we will talk about the 3 things we liked and the 3 things we didn't like about it. And we're gonna end up with our considerations if you should buy it or not. In this game, you play as an American entrepreneur from the beginning of the 20th century, building your empire of housing, banking, industry and transportation across the USA. Those entrepreneurs were also big philanthropists, and the game also plays with that element. You can play the game from 1 to 4 players, and if you want to play solo, there are specific rules for that. The game comes in a super nice box that was tailored for the Deluxe Edition. A mid-size board that's one-sided but has a really nice illustration and use of colors. And each player gets a tray containing the starting goods cubes, money and player tokens, as well as the project tabs. Each player has a company board which starts with some departments. There's also a tray for extra banknotes and goods cubes, as well as game markers, tokens, and content for the 3 expansions that come with the Deluxe Edition. I recommend checking the unboxing so you can see all of those components in details. In Carnegie, you are competing against other players to see who gets more points at the end of the game. And you get more points by recruiting employees, and then you use them to expand your businesses by investing in real estate, producing goods, developing transport technology, and by connecting cities across the United States. The game is played over 20 rounds, and each round consists of 4 parts which are played in the following order. The first player of the round will choose one of the 4 actions in the timeline, and these actions will be played by all players in clockwise order. Before they play the action, an event will take place. There are 2 types of events. The Take Income event, which gives players resources based on the transportation in the area where the event is taking place, and also by having employees on missions. Events can take place in one of the 4 areas of the board, so you have to plan ahead, sending employees to the areas where the next event will happen. The other event that can take place is a donation event, where players donate money to get one of the bonuses from these boards. Donation bonuses are not shared, so if you get a bonus, no other player can take the same you got. You start by donating $5 to get a bonus, then each subsequent donation increases the cost by 5, so the second donation is going to cost you 10, the third one will cost you 15, and so on. Once the event is over, players can use the action that was chosen previously by the first player of the round. You have to look at the departments of the action type you chose, and then each employee assigned to the department allows you to perform an action of the department. The first type of action you can do is HR, which allows the player to move their employees around the company departments. So the more human resources you have, the more you can move characters around. The second action is management, which allows you to build new departments on the board, get money, and also goods cubes. The third action is construction, which allows you to send employees on missions and also to build projects in the region the employee was sent. You can build 4 types of projects which will give you different bonuses. You can build industries, which will usually generate goods cubes, banks, which will generate money, and housing, which will generate money and also some extra employees to your company. And last but not least, you can build public infrastructure, which awards you with victory points. The last action you can do is research and development, which allows you to move your project tab 1 space to the right, providing you more projects to place on the board. This part is really cool because the tabs are inserted into the board, and then as you pull, you get new bonuses that will be applied when you build the projects. When you place a project on the city, you get the benefits that each project generates if there is at least 1 employee on a mission in that region if an event takes place on that region. You can also use your research points to develop the transportation of the region, going from a cart to a wagon and then finally to train transportation, which will award you more points whenever the region is activated during an event. As you build projects in cities, you start connecting them. And there is a meta game where if you also connect the major cities, you get extra points at the end of the game. So as you can see, there are a ton of options on how to get points in the game, and each player can decide which strategy to use. So now let's go to the review of Carnegie Deluxe Edition. As you can see, this is a heavy board game. You have a lot of mechanics going on, and your average playtime is going to be around 5 hours if it's your first time playing the game, or 4 if you have played multiple times, and if you're playing with 3 to 4 players. I think the game is well contextualized. You feel the theme of the game as you're playing, and the quality of every component is really high, which leads to the first thing that we really liked about the game, which is the quality of the components. The inserts and trays are developed by Game Trays, and they do an awesome job of keeping the components inside and organizing them really well. The metal finish on the banknotes give a cool look, and the art of the boards, the departments and everything is really cool. The second thing we really liked is how the game gives you a lot of options on how you can build your company and earn victory points. You can go over strategies focusing on the projects and trying to maximize the employees' use to get as much banknotes and goods cubes as possible to build infrastructure, which gives you victory points more frequently. You can also try focusing on the connections between the cities and the advancement of the transportation lines in each region. And you can also do combinations between projects and donations that will give you points according to how many projects of a type you have, or by having the most projects in the region, or by simply having a big company full of employees and having them active at the end of the game. There is a problem though on this part, which I will explain on one of the things we didn't like about the game, but the fact that there are multiple strategies make the game replayable. Another aspect that gives a lot of replayability we're talking is the timeline tiles, because they are double-sided, so every time you assemble the timeline, the events will be slightly different. And also the project tabs are double-sided, so you can either play with side A or side B, and the bonuses you get by building projects will be different. Again, adding more variety. And the third thing we really liked about the game is that it's really well balanced. We played a few times and we had cases where players had a tie and the scoring was not that far among other players. So even though you have a very huge amount of options on what to do and how to play, all of these different paths will still be balanced and guarantee that if you make a choice, that choice won't break the game. Now let's talk about the 3 things we didn't like. And the first one is tied to the fact that you have many ways to play the game, and although this is good, it's also a problem because the way the game rewards you for playing is mostly by giving you victory points at the end of the game. So because you have all of those options and those permutations, it's very hard to predict if you're winning, or if you are in second place or third place, and so on. And that's very problematic because it doesn't allow you to change your strategy according to your position on the board, because, for example, if you knew you were in second place and you would be able to quickly see that the player currently in first place will get even more points by connecting key cities, you could adapt your strategy and build a project on the path to block his connection completion. Talking about connecting cities, that's a mechanic that's cool and that's similar to Ticket to Ride. But the problem is that this game has so many mechanics that the city connection feels too much. And one of the main problems with the connection is that when you were building projects in medium or large cities, you are going to be getting bonuses whenever the event on the region activates. But if you build your projects on small cities, you get either no bonus or you get just 1 bonus for the first time you place the project. So later in the game, you can often find yourself spending 2 or 3 rounds to build a project on a small city just for the sake of connecting and then getting no rewards for it. So the connection, and more specifically the small cities parts of that mechanic, could have been streamlined either by simplifying or getting better rewards on small cities. And the last point that we didn't like is the fact that to move your employees, you need to spend time using the HR action. But the problem is that it's not the fact actually that there is an action to reassign, but rather the fact that in some departments you send your employees to missions, which means that it's not just about reassigning them, it's also about getting those employees back in your company and then reassigning them so that makes the whole loop, you know, of sending someone to a mission, collecting them from a mission and reassigning them on different departments a little bit too much. I think it could be simplified in the core loop. So overall, if you are looking for a complex game that you can play in an evening with your friends, and you like to play games with a nice context that has a lot of different choices you can make to create a playing strategy, this game is for you. But if you like board games that are easy to keep track of the strategies and they don't overwhelm you with options, I don't recommend it. Personally, I had a very good and fun experience because I like the points I mentioned to you. The other people that we played with, some of them liked and some didn't. Mariana, for example, liked a few points, but disliked the fact that she can't figure out who is in first place or second place. So let's say it was really divisive. We have some other super cool reviews, which I put here on the right, so you can have a look. So thanks for watching and see you next time.